Welcome to the Marriage Podcast with David and Summer.
We're here to dive into all things marriage, faith, and family. Real talk for real couples.
Thanks for joining us. Let's get into today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Marriage Podcast with Dave and Summer. We are honored to come to you today. We believe that your marriage can make it and that your marriage has a purpose. Great to be with you, babe.
Yes, it's good.
And we're going to do an episode today where we're going to read off questions that we have received at some of the marriage conferences that we speak at and just answer those questions to the best of our ability. I think some of these questions will resonate with you. I would say they range in a wide variety of topics. And so probably these questions will connect at some level. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're interesting, and some of them are a little bit long-winded, and so usually when we get these questions, we're not able to answer them fully.
Yep.
And so today we're going to do our best. So let's start. You
Right.
ready?
And we're not experts, but we are coming just with experience. So here we go. Let's dive in. Hit me, babe.
Okay, so this one's long-winded. I'll
Long-winded.
start it off, and then we can dissect it, okay?
Okay.
So how do you restore positive communication,
Okay.
intimacy, and trust after infidelity? How to handle triggers when the person is still in the work environment with your mate? Should all communication be cut off? Expectations regarding trust, boundaries, and self-control when it was not exercised by your mate.
So I would say one part of that question, if a spouse has committed adultery with somebody, there is no question that that person, I think, should be totally removed from their life. Because part of the question was they work with that person.
The boundaries.
Should they have contact with them? And that's easier said than done, but I would say it's worth taking radical steps to save your family.
Yeah.
And to me, if you've messed around with somebody and then you see them every day on the job, I'm not saying that's not possible. I don't know every scenario out there, but that to me is problematic. And I would say that there needs to be a removal. And obviously, if you're not the boss, the owner of the company, you can't control that. So you maybe consider getting another job. Consider, maybe God can help the other person get a new job. But I would take radical steps to build trust and save your family and work to getting back to where you were before.
Sure. And I would add that even though maybe you feel like, oh, I can handle it, it's really about your marriage. It's about your relationship.
Exactly.
It's about your spouse and how are you going to how are you going to really build trust? And that was one of the, restore positive communication and intimacy and trust. That's one thing that needs to be done. I would say, too, that what I've learned listening to different counselors is that you have to put everything on the table. And so that means both spouses have to put everything on the table. It's not just the person who caused the act, because the person who caused the act, whether it's physical or emotional adultery, the other person, there's something underneath that, right? So there's really core issues that are happening. So I think everything needs to be put on the table. Everyone needs to share their hurts, their hang-ups, and pain. And then you need to share, like, hey, in order for me to move forward, this is what I'm expecting from you. In order for me to feel safe, in order for me to feel secure, this is what I need from you, because it's so important to build trust in that way.
Yep. And I would say, too, that the person that was hurt in that situation, so the spouse that was cheated on, I think that they need to have the right and the space to, I always say give 3 to 5 things to their spouse, practical things, not ambiguous, not ever lasting, things that could be done. That could, when those steps were taken, trust could be rebuilt. And I think they should do that. And then the person that was cheated on has to be willing to, if their spouse does those things, and if they're doing their best, that they're willing to move on. So it's not easy, but I think it's a combination of things there for sure.
For sure. Okay. We want to move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
All right. What are good opposite sex friendship boundaries?
we really don't have this. We don't really. We have obviously, I guess, friends.
I don't care to be friends with men.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
We have a lot of ladies on the staff here. We have a lot of ladies in our church on staff that work with you and I. And I think in that regard, that's more professional. Some of those ladies have been around us since before we got married.
Maybe that's totally different. You're talking about work relationships.
I'm trying to think about. We really don't have.
So let me just answer. So I would say good opposite sex friendship boundaries. One looks like, okay, what does your spouse, fiance, girlfriend, boyfriend, how do they feel about you having a friend of an opposite sex? I think you need to start there.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
Because if they're uncomfortable, then you need to listen to that, regardless of how you feel.
Right.
Period.
Yep.
My circle is really small and tight, and I like it that way. If we're friends with anyone, it's usually, or I would say if I'm friends with a person of the opposite sex, then it's usually like couple to couple, right? So we'll hang out as couples or something like that, but I'm not like texting or hanging out with a guy by myself.
I would, again, people can do it. I'm sure people have done this and whatever. It works. I would recommend that there is healthy boundaries with this. There's really no need. Now, I love my sister. She and I are close. That's family. My sister-in-laws, I can talk to them. I've had coffee with them, connected with them. But I'm a pastor. Let's take that aside. It doesn't matter if I'm a pastor or not. There has to be healthy boundaries. There's really no need for me, in my view, to have a friend that's a girl that I'm calling and talking to or texting about whatever.
He can't, because I will go off on him. Let me tell you something. When we were dating and you did a Bible study and, there was this new girl that came and she's a sweet girl. Yeah, I'm bringing it up. You probably don't even remember, but I do. And
this is what happens.
She's a sweet girl.
But I married you.
Listen, I'm just bringing up some real situation. And he was like talking to her, getting to know her, like ministering to her, whatever. And he already did the Bible study. We were over there like eating after. And I was just like, I know he ain't over there trying to talk to no girl. And inside, but can I say something? Inside, I've never felt like that before. Like, I never had that jealous.
Because when she saw me, it was done.
Feeling before.
Yeah.
But I was possessive over you. I was like, your attention belongs to me,
Yep.
So he can't do that. Yeah, you just can't.
If you have friends that are opposite sex, I would just say, just guard your boundaries. Like you said, babe, honor your spouse's request. What are they comfortable with? Serve your spouse. Mm-hmm. If your spouse is not comfortable, then don't do it, because you're married to your spouse, not to your friends.
Right.
And so you put your spouse before your friends. And I would just consider that and really have a strong line of protection.
Definitely no sex talk.
Well, of course. That's
I'm
ridiculous.
just saying, as far as like your conversation in the bedroom to that person, I would definitely say that's a no. But again, that's between you and your spouse.
Right.
Okay, here's another. Okay, this is maybe more for me. So how do you get over the vulnerability when it comes to initiating sex for the woman? She goes, like, I find it hard to get dressed up and not feel incredibly shy and uncomfortable, like I have never had sex before, LOL. Oh, this is real. I feel this. So how do you get over your vulnerability to initiate? I think, so I'll just go back a little bit back in my history. As far as, unfortunately, I was exposed to pornography by people who were older. That's one. Two, I was molested. And so especially seeing pornography, and even I was exposed to magazines, I never wanted to be that nasty girl. Like, I never wanted to be, I saw those women who initiated sex, and what I saw in TV was the girls in pornography. So I had to get over, when I say I had to get over the lie that the enemy was trying to sell me about sex.
Okay.
And there came a point of time where I feel like I remember, it doesn't matter, but anyway, during prayer, it was like, God, I need your help in this because my husband wants me to initiate. And I'm more of a responder when it comes to sex, meaning like it takes me some time to get to that place. I'm going to get there, but it just takes me time to be like, yes, let's go. So I think I had to really come to a Jesus moment. And what that looked like was me realizing that no, sex is a beautiful thing. God created it. The enemy took it and perverted it. That was not God's plan for, for sex to be. And so it's okay for me to, what does she say?
Get dressed up.
Get dressed
Is
up.
she referencing like lingerie and stuff? Is that what she's referencing?
Yeah. So like, it's okay to get dolled up. It's
Yeah.
okay to initiate. And the other part of it, so that's one token.
Yeah.
I think the big token for me was I didn't want to be a nasty girl. And he didn't look at me as a nasty girl. That's the other part of it too.
Right.
It's like I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, you're gonna look at me like I'm a slut. Like that sounds horrible, but that's what
my wife.
was in my view. But then number two was he's gonna reject me, and that was hard. But I'm like, I've rejected this dude so many times, and he's still okay.
For the record. For the record. I want to encourage us, though. This is I'm glad you spoke up
But
on
can
this.
I just finish this
go
one
ahead.
point? So with that being said, I have initiated. He has rejected me, and I love it because I'm like, I remind him when he rejects me. I just want you to know that you rejected me, dude. I just want you to know. I feel that. Go ahead.
Well, I want to encourage all of us that I think we have to relearn. To me, I link these two subjects together. We've talked about this before at church in different places because these two subjects most people aren't talked to healthily about.
What do you mean these two subjects?
I'll show you.
Oh.
And it causes tension in marriage, and that's sex and money.
Oh.
When it comes to sex and money,
You're intimate.
typically in church, we are taught traditionally now, sex is bad, 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 bad. Money is of the world. It's will corrupt you. So we have like this emphasis, bad, 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 bad.
Interesting.
And both these topics, to me, obviously impact marriage. These two topics are, money is number one cause for divorce. Infidelity is obviously number two. But the thing is that both these subjects, and we're talking about sex here, but both these subjects in God are clean and holy.
Yeah.
Sex is not something we have to do. It's something we get to do. Sex is not a chore. It's an operation. It's a connection. It's a living relationship that a man and a woman have in marriage. God did this. God created our anatomies. He created our bodies. He created this covenant between a man and a woman. And this is a gift from God. And I want to encourage all of us today to be renewed in our mind. Maybe some of you today are thinking, man, I'm still dealing with this. I'm uncomfortable with this, like you were saying, babe. I want to encourage you, this is a gift from God. If you're not dealing with this, just know this is a gift from God. And as long as it is, does God say no? With things in the bedroom, we were with a couple recently speaking at a marriage conference, and she said, really, there's a lot of things that God doesn't speak to in the bedroom. So we always say, does God say no to it? And this is how you gauge what's appropriate in the bedroom. Are both people consenting? And then third, is it just between me and you? Just between us? And if it is, that's between the two people. And so really outside of that, people have different beliefs, but the Bible does not say, outside of that, the marriage bed is undefiled. So I just want to encourage you, this is a holy thing. It's a clean thing in marriage. And just like money is a clean thing when we operate it in God's system. And so I just want to encourage you today, think about this, be renewed in this because it's a blessing from God.
Right. And I've had many women come up to me and talk about how they, don't feel comfortable in their own skin when it comes to sex. And so those are some things that you really need to, one, maybe talk to obviously talk to the Lord about, but actually see how God sees sex.
But too, babe,
when it comes to marriage.
the lie of the enemy, though, is I don't know those women that would say that to you, so I'm not trying to throw shade. But I have talked to people that before they got married, they were free and did wrong freely. Then they get married, and it's a struggle. And see, that's the lie of the devil. And the people and people think about this. They make fun of this in marriage. Like sex is boring in marriage. And we've heard people on TV say this stuff that it's boring.
But wouldn't you say that was more from a men's perspective?
What's that?
That sex is boring and.
I think so.
Yeah,
because it's a pull on the lust.
The women that I've talked to, it's not like they were out there and just woohoo, hoeing around.
Yeah,
they're more so. It's like they probably have done it in their past, but it's something that they didn't want to do.
Sure.
And again, it just came off this slimy, whatever feeling. And then, and say if there is someone who was like living free out there, when you get in, there's still that sliminess of just like, ugh, I no longer want to be that person. I want to be this person in God. I want to be holy in God. And so it's just that, how do you turn that switch off from the world and turn it on in the Lord? So it's something.
Our sexuality, to say that before we move on, our sexuality in Jesus, in marriage, is holy.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you, your sexuality in Jesus, that sensual part of you, first off, God gave us that. That didn't come from the devil. God made us with that. As you said, the devil perverted this. So in marriage, when a man marries a woman, there's in this connection, it is holy.
Right.
And I want to encourage you, it's holy. Have fun.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We have another one. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I think this is starting to be a sex thing. When sex is physically painful for the wife, what can she do to create intimacy with her husband? So I don't have the full answers for this, or, all the answers for this. One, I would say, does your husband know? Like, have you guys talked about it? Two, I would say talk to your OBGYN and let them know, because there could be something going on with like hormones. And then 3, KY jelly. KY jelly. Pick it up at Walgreens, your local CVS, pharmacy, Walmart. It's available for you. You are so goofy. But sometimes people have to use that. So just
KY
to make a
up in this
good,
place.
easy,
Yeah, and I would say too,
painless.
We don't want to go too far with this, but I think that there's other things people can connect besides intercourse. And so that's between you and your spouse. And so that's another option too.
And the other thought too is what's going on mentally too. Like if there's trauma, because I know sometimes that has affected people when it comes to sex. And so that can also be in there too. So maybe even a counselor. Yep. So those are some just different options. Yep. Okay.
Ultimate Intimacy is a great app. We're going to encourage you to think about that. Ultimate Intimacy is a Christian app that has a lot of different articles and tools and different things. You could check that out and maybe even get, insight on some of that topic.
Yeah. Okay. This is not talking about sex. This says, in a marriage, this is good. When your spouse hurts you, why do they want it just to go away and not be talked about anymore? So, in a marriage, when your spouse hurts you, so say if I hurt you,
okay,
you want to keep talking about it.
Okay. And why don't they just let it go?
Why don't they just let it go and not talk about it anymore? And so I would say this. Maybe the one reason is because they are the blame. And they don't want to feel that shame anymore. They don't want to feel, targeted, like they are the bad person that just, hurt their spouse. So that's probably one, right? But my question, though, is have you guys apologized? Like, has he or she apologized for what they did do, to start a clean slate
Good.
and to say, okay, I apologize for X, Y, and Z, and I'm not going to do this anymore. Is that possible? So those are thoughts. Do you have any thoughts on that while I go clean my nose?
I think that it's important. There's a balance with this. First and foremost, forgiveness doesn't mean I always forget what happened, but I do choose to forgive as Jesus asked me to forgive. It's part of, and it's a core foundation in our Christian faith to forgive others because God has forgiven us in Christ Jesus. Also, though, I think that there's a balance. We're not to badger our spouse over and over again with something that they've done and use it as a weapon. That's not right. If they've said sorry and we've come to a place of healing, we have to move on and let it go. I don't think it's appropriate to bring that up anymore. And so there's a balance with this. I don't think that's appropriate to use it as a constant, just whack, and just hit people. That's not right. At the same time, if something's been done, there's varying degrees with hurt. I mean, adultery or, abuse, that can be so devastating, and other things too. And then there can be lesser things. No matter what it is, I think there needs to be a space for the spouse that was hurt to get it out, talk it out, get through what's going on. And maybe a counselor helps do that. Maybe a pastor helps do that. And then, but once that is a feeling and a sense of, I've come to peace with this, I've gotten the layers, I've digested, then we move on. So there's a balance where we're not badgering people over and over again, but it's also not fair if I hurt you and then I say, okay, I'm sorry, move on, and that's it. That's not fair to you because you may have really been wounded and it may take some time for you to process the layers of your wound and deal with it. So I want to be clear that don't be like a teeter-totter that's exaggerated in one way or the other. It's kind of a balanced thing that I think we have to think about that.
So let's talk about us. So when I have hurt you, my husband likes to explain why he's hurt, explain why I'm wrong, explain part B, and then give an exhibit on part C, and then
break it down,
share on part D, like how you actually need to do this. And for me, I am one that's, I beat myself up for hurting him, right? And so I understand. So the one who has done the hurting, like you said, like I have to allow you to process, because he's a verbal processor. I'm an internal processor. So where he gets it all out on the table, and then I do my A maybe the next day, or maybe that night, and then I'll probably do my B the next day, and then I do my C the following day. And then I do my, it's like, it kind of drags out a little bit. Yeah. So I think we both have done that. It's just in a different way. But the bottom line is, and you've said this to me too, it's like, and maybe it's not on the same topic, but I just remember you kind of saying the same thing that I'm saying, which is like, no, I feel bad of what I did,
right?
Yeah. And so it's like, you're already, whoever has hurt is already upset and ticked off that they even did it.
Exactly.
And so the more you talk about it, it's just like, I'm continually I'm beating up myself more than you are even beating up myself. But to your point, you have to be able to share because you don't want unheard anger.
That's right. There's a balance.
And that's the worst. And that's something that I have dealt with is unheard anger, which comes out in resentment.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible feeling to have that.
Well, I want to encourage us today with this as we get ready to wrap up this episode. We're going to come back on part 2 and do more questions on this. But I want to encourage you today that these questions I think are insightful. And I think probably, like I mentioned, some of you that are watching or listening can connect and say, I have that question and that resonates. The reality is there's always ups and downs in this thing. There's hurt feelings in marriage. There's at times disappointment. There's times missed expectations, but we're in it for the long haul because we're committed to Jesus and to one another.
Right.
And if we learn to work through them and talk through them and grow through them, man, we can go to new levels of intimacy. And I know you and I have done that, and I know that you can too as you're watching and listening today. So I don't know where you're at. Be encouraged. You can make it. You can get through it. On the other side is so much more connection. I believe a story of healing and blessing and romance. And I believe the best is yet to come. Please consider to like, subscribe, and share to this podcast. We'd be honored if you did. And we will come back for part 2 and answer more questions. See you later.